Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Kajidori.
Awesome. Hey guys, welcome back to the show today. I'm joined by Colin Duff, all the way from one of the greatest country in the world, the country of Scotland. Colin, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks, Yeukai. It's a pleasure to join you.
Incredible. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever asked yourself, when is the right time to innovate? Or am I able to innovate? Or maybe, how do you do this? Well, if you ask yourself any of these questions, you are in the right place, because my friend here has been doing it for several years and has been helping business owners, including other outside the business community, innovate. And today we want to talk about the barriers to innovation as a business owner, or really maybe reinventing yourself as a person. What are those barriers and how can you overcome them so that you too can enjoy the benefits of innovation, which I think every company in today's world has to have that. Again, Colin, it's such a pleasure having you here on the show for the first time, man.
Oh, delighted to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Incredible. Now, for those who are yet to discover the things that you do, I know you've got an interesting journey in what we're talking about. Give us a very snapshot, real quick, of who you are, some of the successes that you've had with innovation.
Oh, it's been over 20 years, the most weird and wonderful set of experiences. So a few highlights include recently my company developed a new cybersecurity offering for a big telco company. And it's great because cybersecurity, everyone says it's super important. No one ever does anything about it. And we managed to get a bunch of people actually protected against scammers on the phone and online. We've also did things in pensions and investments. Another boring subject that we don't like to think about, but actually getting people saving for the future. And maybe just a couple of fun ones as well, or more fun relatively. We once gone back a few years for Pfizer, help them increase or swell sales, as I say, of Viagra to Russian men. So I can maybe give you some insights from that, which was fascinating. And I've had many been in innovation, as you would expect, failures as well, which I think are, great learning experiences and can also be, not at the time, but in retrospect, fun. So we launched a vaporized vodka once for Absolute Vodka. Tasted great concept, didn't get you very drunk, which is, I guess, the purpose. Most people drink vodka. And there was another ill-fated liquid tea once. Now, don't ask me why the tea was liquid. We just come up with a concept. Sadly, the tea did not taste very well. So, a whole bunch of stuff. Solar energy, thinking back, I could go on all day. I've done about 100 innovation projects across just about every sector.
Amazing. Now, before you became a CEO of Mosaic Innovation, one of the interesting things that took place, I know, was when this big consultants company joined the company you were working for at the time, and you ended up working with them. Would you very briefly share with our audience today what took place and how you ended up doing what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always thought myself as a creative guy, and I'd studied marketing, and then joined a traditional big business and just did not feel like a fit. I was always the one pushing us to do crazy ideas, and everyone was like, calm down, you're here to just do communications. And then we got this, as you say, consultants coming in once who were really wacky. They were dressed in glamorous clothes. We were all in our suits and ties. And I went into a couple of workshops with them, and just it was like a kid in a candy store. My eyes absolutely lit up. And I thought, I want to be one of you. I think when they first looked at me in my suit and tie and very traditional ways of working, they thought, you're not right for us. So it took several attempts to convince them, pleading, letters, many meetings, but I got my foot through the door and really got my start. And innovation consulting, growing up, it was a nascent field. I mean, who'd heard of an innovation consultant? Now it's really grown and is a career path. And I think many younger people or even mid-career don't know about it. So if you're passionate about innovating, then do think about it. We tend to recruit across the industry from all kinds of backgrounds, as opposed to traditional consultant where they often want, finance background or 10 years in strategy. So if you're a lost soul who's creative, this could be a good career change.
Yes, incredible. I love that, the lesson we learned from you there of persistently going after what you want, moving from one organization to something else, which of course ended up shaping your career here. Now, when you and I talk about innovation, what is it exactly are we talking about?
So innovation is one of those words that means everything and nothing all at once. And I'd say, annoyingly, it's probably quite contextual to the situation. So if you want a really simple definition, it's doing something novel that delivers value. And usually we're talking about a new product, service, or experience for an end customer. But I think it can be quite useful if you're talking to people to just have a really simple classification and lexicon. And I just have 3 buckets, super simple. Are we talking about being more efficient? So for example, Aldi put barcodes, the supermarket, on every side of their products, and it makes their checkouts faster than any other supermarket. So it's doing something more quickly. Is it something sustaining? So improving something we already have. So Gillette are the masters of this. Every razor you've now got heated, exfoliating, 5 blades, soon it'll be 10. So improving what you've got. Or are we trying to totally disrupt the industry with something transformative like an Airbnb, an Uber, or a Zipcar that doesn't exist? So I think just having those 3 buckets can just help align you on where are we actually looking, because so often they talk about transformation and then you see people delivering something very incremental. So that would be tip 1.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Well, what I love about innovation for business owners is it creates opportunities and also provides satisfaction for the repeat customers. What's been your experience for companies that has taken hold of this concept of innovation?
Every company says they want to innovate and that they're investing in it. But to be honest, a lot of companies are doing it really badly. So if you're told go innovate, which is often what they are, what do? People, they jump in a room, usually quite a basement room sometimes as well, and say, let's come up with lots of ideas. Now, the problem with that is, yes, sometimes you get lucky, but it's actually really difficult, especially if you're in quite a mature category. So if you work in the printing industry or you work in telecommunications, good luck. And if you read the reports, they'll tell you customers want faster, cheaper, higher spec, but it doesn't really lead anywhere. So great innovators, number 1 thing is get out the building and actually start observing. And I mean, great example, we did a project with Honda years ago on generators, and they were convinced they needed an app. They said everyone has an app. And we spent some time with customers, generators that create power. And one of the first customers I was with was a lady going to a fairground, and she was taking this generator in the rain through the grass. And what do you think happened? It got stuck, the wheels in the grass. And we said, look, is the big innovation to make the wheels bigger, right? Because most generators are going off ground, they're not on tarmac, they're not on road. And the whole industry had neglected this, probably because they'd sat in focus groups and sat in brainstorms. And it's not until you see stuff in a context that you can really spot opportunities. So that'd be number 1, is if you're serious about innovating, you can't do it sitting in an office, which is what so many people do.
Amazing. And one of the things I've discovered in many focus group around innovation is rarely do those ideas get implemented. Maybe 1 or 2, but most of the brilliant ideas is like, after some time, they are left there. And then when you come back to another, say, what did we do about this product or this idea? And I don't know. Yeah. And
I can empathize, Yeukai. I call it ideaholics. And it's like, we need to innovate. Let's run more brainstorms. And you think, but the company's drowning in ideas. We've got dozens and dozens, right? but nothing really ever happens. So how do you make sure that doesn't happen to you? And my number one tip is you need to make an idea real. A post-it note is cheap and a PowerPoint slide is no better, right? And what do I mean by make an idea real? Well, startups do this so well. So when you speak to a startup, and often the product doesn't even exist, they'll often show you a little 2-minute video that promises the world. It sells you in the vision. Now, those things are just so cheap to make and quick. You can turn one around in about 2 days. And even if your budget's very limited, there's Upwork, which is one of the platforms we use. You can get freelancers who can make you a very professional looking advert. And if you're taking a new idea to investors, to colleagues, to customers to test, getting the feedback on that, or just making something simple and clickable, which has never been easier, it transforms your quite low energy post-it or PowerPoint into something that, it has a transformative effect. That'd be it. And one other thing I talk about as well, one other thing as well is where companies really go wrong with innovation is they come up with lots of ideas and then they try and pick a winner, right? We'll analyze to death all these ideas. And actually, when you get good ideas and they're innovative, there's often no real way to tell where the winners and losers are. You're just playing a guessing game to an extent. And the best way, therefore, is how do we find out what's going to work and not? It's to run lots of really rapid, low-cost experiments. And let me give you an example of a couple we've run that are quite fun. So when I was working at a big retailer, we wanted to test the idea of 3D printed jewellery, completely bespoke. Now, if we just set that up ourselves, we'd have spent hundreds of thousands, and to be honest, probably about a year with supply chain, logistics, all that. We actually discovered a vendor in China that was selling this to a small Chinese segment. So we put it on our website with our branding. We did a bit of digital marketing to see who the traffic came. And whenever we got an order, we'd literally go on manually and buy it on their website, get it shipped over to us, repackage it, relabel it, and then send it to the end customer. Now, it's obviously not scalable, but to do that took us about 2 weeks to get it set up. And we spent a few £100 and discovered quite quickly there is not a great demand for customized 3D printed jewellery, despite everyone telling us in the focus groups, oh, it's absolutely brilliant. I'll buy one for my wife, for my kids, for everyone else. Absolutely not. So how can you shrink and accelerate and just be really much more entrepreneurial in your approach?
Yeah, you know what? It's ideas are brilliant until they are tested. There'll be good ideas, but when they are brought to light, like where the market is, that's when you begin to see that, oh yeah, that idea, it sounds great, but it doesn't pass the test of the market itself. So the idea of having rapid, low-cost experiments, makes perfect sense to me, because it means before you make a lot of investment, you have a bit of a feedback of what the market is going to be. So absolutely love that idea.
Yeah, and what people say they'll do and what they actually do are two different things. And it's not necessarily that they're lying. It's just that we don't always know our own mind, and our subconscious is really powerful. So we're running a big project in cybersecurity. And if you asked every single person, how important is it? They said 10 out of 10. And the follow-up question would be, Yeukai, have you got a cybersecurity package? Have you enabled it? And almost all of them said no. And you said, but why if it's so important? I just haven't got around to it, So, but you'd ask them, would you buy it? Yes. But have they done it? No. So, there's a lot of contradictions between the thought land, the theory, and the real world.
Yes. Yeah, that's very interesting. Let's talk about some of the barriers that stops business owners and companies from innovating or, even moving in that direction.
So, going back to one of the ones I mentioned is everyone can easily have a brainstorm, but it's much harder to actually get that breakthrough idea. And the mistake a lot of people have made is they're overly reliant on creative thinking tools and techniques. So you've got these people doing these endless games and things, and don't get me wrong, they have their place, but great innovations come from great insight. So I mentioned about getting out of the building, but you need to be a bit more sophisticated in your approach. So again, especially if you're in quite a, let's call it a kind of dull, mature business, Like we did one project on deodorant. Now, how do you innovate in deodorant? You speak to a customer and say, what do you want? To smell good, or at least not to smell bad. But if you actually really interrogate them, and you take it down a level, you say, look, what kind of person are you? And they say, I'm a modern metrosexual man, or quite a masculine man. It takes it a level further, but you're still hard to innovate. So one of the questions we asked, and this is where going deep is really important, was, what's your most prized possession? And one of the respondents said, oh, it's my watch. It goes to 3,000 meters waterproof. And then another one said, oh, I've got my car, my Maserati, right? It goes from 0 to 60 in like 3.8 seconds. So what's the insight? It's like men like over-engineered solutions. Interested insight. How can you apply that to deodorant? Well, you think, we actually got with a concept that this deodorant was 96 hours, right? You'd be surely showering every day. It could work at 120 degrees. You'd probably be dead at 1 million molecules. But just that insight completely transformed this company's sales of this, because it tapped into a deeper human need. And I think that's what great innovators, there's often talk always about its technology, its business model, its process. It can be, but actually typically it's rooted in great insight. And there is I guess a method to unlock it.
I like that you mentioned something about tapping into greater human need, because if in coming up with innovation and keeping this in mind, you will find that if you can do that, your chances of coming up with something that is going to be sustainable, that people are going to need, increases, maybe 2 or 4-fold, because you are responding to what people desperately need, not what they want, but that they fundamentally need for survival.
Yeah, I absolutely couldn't agree more. The amount of things that have been discovered or innovated serendipitously, if you're doing interesting things, I think penicillin springs to mind, where I forget, it's my Scottish brethren that invented it, but the fungus growing Alexander Fleming, and just by playing around and being curious, that's how we got to penicillin. And innovation is the same. Viagra, one of the projects I mentioned before, that was a discovery when they were looking at hypertension and discovered this weird side effect. And there's so many stories of innovation where you're trying to do something that doesn't work, or you have this weird reaction, or maybe customers you're getting, it's appealing to one segment but not another. Those are great opportunities to innovate.
Yes, yeah. I know there are a lot of people who truly wants to innovate, and some of those goes on to try and do it, but often fail dismally. And in your experience of helping business owners a lot, what have you discovered that stops people from becoming that great innovator that they want to be in their company?
So the innovation failure rate typically ranges between about 70 to 80%, depending on your industry and what type of innovation. So I think a lot of people have focused on, I'm going to become an amazing innovator and lower that rate. But what all of the literature says, in my experience, is you can't really lower the rate, but what you can do is increase your chances by experimenting with many, many more ideas. So rather than trying to have one big idea, have lots of small ideas, test those ideas, iterate them really quickly and cheaply. And the laws of the numbers, like I mentioned, will apply. So Edison is probably, Thomas Edison, the greatest innovator of all time. And he actually set himself an innovation quota. And he said he wanted 1,000, I think it was 1,000 innovations a year, 300 innovations a year. So it was like one a day. And he said his chances of being successful were no greater than anyone else. It's just he was prolific. So I think that's the biggest thing as a small business owner. Don't try and come up with the big one eureka moment. Come up with lots of ideas and experiment relentlessly, and things will bubble up through the surface. And so many examples of that I give you.
Yeah. Go simple and do slow with a small percentage. I love that.
Lots of small bets rather than one big bet. And that's what I still see people doing. I'm going to bet the house on this idea, and there's probably a 70% chance it won't work. Yeah, take 5 small bets and then go with the big one.
Yeah, amazing. If you were to do it all over again, imagine we hire you into an organization and say, Colin, We've been doing this for a long time. This is our processes, and this is our client acquisition system, and this is our client, management system, or whatever it may be. You've come into our organization. What will be the very first thing that you will look at, and how do you take us from where we are to where we want to be?
Well, I guess I'd probably throw it back and say, look, when you say innovate, what do you actually want to achieve? Now, the answer I get most often is, we want massive growth. And if you want massive growth and you're in a competitive sector, as most people are, it can really help to think about who are maybe some of those overlooked or underserved segments. So I'll give you an example. If you are in the laundry detergent category, some area I've worked, almost every single player targets females because they're the head of the household and families. So every laundry detergent is pink or purple, and it has fragrances that are very feminine, like violet, frankincense, etc. In the UK, as an example, 15% of households, it's about 4 million, are male only, right? What would a laundry detergent for them look like? And someone tried a company called Frey, given this really black oil-like bottle with the kind of oak and musk smell, right? And that is so common in so many sectors. There are these just paradigms and assumptions around this is the target market, this is the route to market. And just by playing around with some of those levers and challenging the most basic assumptions, you can get to some of those breakthroughs.
I love what you're sharing with us. And if you're joining us for the first time and you're finding this conversation helpful, would love to hear from you. There's so many ways you can reach out to us and let us know how you're finding this and how you're going to apply what you're learning from our conversation here today. Colin, coming back to you, maybe as we come toward the end of our time together here, as a business owner yourself, how often have you reinvented or innovated in your organization?
Oh, lots, as you'd expect, being an innovation consultancy. And I think the way we did that, to be honest, was we produced a lot of brochureware because we had a lot of ideas. When we started out, we thought the big opportunity was going to be invention. So a company has an idea and we would build this and create a sales pipeline and almost be like a mini startup. And we were really excited. We took this to company after company and they said, that's super interesting, but we never sold any. And then actually we noticed that we were getting traction when in other areas, like I mentioned, innovation insight. So how do you lock those kind of fresh findings that fuel breakthroughs? People really responded well. So that was a really low cost way for us to produce literally physical and online things and just see where did people bite and where did they not. And it wasn't what we expected. We wanted to be doing the super cool stuff, and actually it was the front end that people really needed support on.
Yes.
More recently, actually, we have been, I know everyone talking about ChatGPT, but we've started experimenting with that. And it's crazy because being an innovation, you'd expect I'd be really positive, but initially I was a little bit skeptical. How good is it? And I can tell you for mundane tasks, that is cutting our efficiency of each person in the business by about 25%. So organising meetings, even writing a training course outline, we never fully use it. But as a starting point, if you're not using some of these AI tools, you need to start using them because other people are, and they will eat your lunch.
That's right. That's right. It's incredible. We had, one of our business partners use that to create book layouts, and they're churning out books like crazy because, there are so many ideas. And somebody put it this way, it's like having 1,000 minds working together on your project to come up with something, which is amazing. And why wouldn't you want to use it? It's available for everybody. So, what is the next project for Colin?
Oh, we've got a few projects going on just now. Actually, we've just finished one that I need to say because it was fascinating, and that was, it's still a bit under wraps, but in the prison space. So prisons are about the least innovative environment you can imagine for obvious reasons. And how could you use digital tools there for prisoners in interesting ways? So can you imagine somehow you could give prisoners a tablet that had all the security on it to stop them abusing it, that they could learn from, that they could apply from jobs on, that they could access welfare. These people are in cell some of them 23 hours a day. And then when they're released, the rehabilitation is just absolutely awful. So I mentioned that one because it wasn't just commercial impact, it actually was changing people's lives when we tested these. And I can tell you as well, like, and this bit off subject, but going to this prison, and I spent 2 days there with the prisoners, totally changed my perceptions. A lot of these are really nice people. I know I didn't meet the victims, and this technology has the power to transform their lives. So I love when you do innovation in these overlooked kind of traditional industries, because it's 10x what you get in some of the more sexy, obvious areas.
Yeah, incredible. And for those who want to either work with you or learn from you, when can they find you?
Sure. So our website's mosaic-innovation.com, and there's a few brochures and toolkits there. So if you're interested in what I've spoke about, experimentation, innovation insight, venturing, there's a brochure and toolkit for you. It's all free, and you just need to give us your email. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from your listeners.
Indeed. And what we'll do as well is we'll put a link below this recording so that you can just go click that link and you'll be taken to Colin's either social media or website and reach out. As we always say, when you discover something that you feel like could be helpful, don't just leave it there, just act on it. And it's amazing how that can lead to another big opportunity or another move, or even moving you towards your ultimate goal that you want to achieve. So can I encourage you, if you find this conversation helpful and Colin to be the person for you among many experts we have here, reach out to Colin and it would be great. And that website, again, if I would give you, it is mosaic-innovation.com, and you'll be able to find out more, or you can just connect with Colin on LinkedIn. That's just go on to LinkedIn and type in Colin Duff, and you'll be able to connect with Colin right there. Colin, we've come to the end of our time together. But I never want to finish our conversation without giving you an opportunity to talk to business owners. How are you overcoming the challenges in business that a lot of us are facing today?
I think the biggest challenge for a lot of people, certainly in professional services, frankly, is sales. It seems to have become a bit of a dirty word. And I'm inundated with people promising get rich quick, of we'll generate hundreds of leads, we'll use AI, we'll use ads. But for a lot of businesses, there is nothing better than someone introducing you to someone else. And that's what I've spent the last few months doing, is going through all of my contacts and not saying, or do you want to buy something from us, but saying, having worked together or even just known us, is there somebody that benefit from a conversation? And spent a lot of time actually doing face-to-face, because with COVID, it all became virtual. And I've had so many great conversations, and I'm going into those actually to learn and share ideas and knowledge. I'm not going into them to sell. And for us, that's paid so much dividends. So if you are in a similar situation, I can't tell you the importance of face-to-face communication. Get your friends, get your family. You don't know where leads are going to come from. And yeah, avoid some of these, as I say, get rich quick things, because from what I hear, they don't work.
Yes, they never do. We believe in strategic planning. Strategy always beats tactical. If you go after, you understand it's logical, and you are genuinely helping people with the problem they have, and you're putting a lot of goodwill out there, they will come and find you, and they will stick with you. We all know that the first-time buyer is the most expensive, it's difficult to find, but the repeat buyers are the easiest, and oftentimes they are the one that you can serve and charge more as well. So, do what works, what makes sense, and it's amazing what comes back to you. And of course, offer a lot of value so that people, people like that. They want to be served in that capacity. Well, Colin, it has been a wonderful experience having this conversation with you. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Yeukai.
Indeed. And we certainly would love to have you back at some point to talk about some of the projects that you specialize in at some point.
Oh, very kind. And let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I'd love to stay in touch, and I will be a listener. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing. I'll hear you even if you don't hear from me as much.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You have been discovering the principle that governs innovation. And if you want to learn more about what we've been talking about, just go to mosaic-innovation.com or reach out to my dear friend here, Colin Duff, on LinkedIn to find out more. But listen, we never want to leave this time together without encouraging you to pick one aspect of what we've talked about and schedule it. When are you going to implement what you've discovered? Or when are you going to think about what we've talked about here today, so that you can begin to develop the concept you've discovered here into your own personal life? Because that's how you learn, by taking time, scheduling in your busy day, and really apply what you learn. And I often say that if you find yourself not doing that after you discover that it works, ask yourself, why are you not implementing what you truly believe in? Because the same thing that is stopping you from implementing that could be stopping you from many other aspects of your life and many other aspects of your business. We want you to succeed. So start now. We want you to become a force for good, not only in your family, but in your community, and who knows, maybe in your country. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, live well, live with passion, know that the best is truly, truly yet to come. And again, thank you for joining us here on the show. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.